Hey, welcome to Around the Campfire. I'm Patrick Bieser.
I'm Fred Pike.
Hey, we're both from Northwoods, and we're here with an update on the CMP process. The reason we're making this video is we've been about 3 or 4 months since we last talked about CMP, and in that time, there's been some developments. A lot has changed, as they say. We've seen a couple of our clients receive demand letters, and that is concerning because the demand letter says you are not in compliance with all your privacy things. You say you are. On your site, you might have a cookie banner or something on the site that says we're going to protect your privacy, but in fact, these are leaking through. And the lawyers out there who are looking for these opportunities and look at your balance sheet online have discovered that there's money to be had. Uh, is that fair? Is that what's going
Yeah,
on?
absolutely. So as you said, we've seen a ton of recent demand letters, and they really fall into two camps. First of all, they're all driven by troll law firms in California, and there are a bunch of them that are going after this. And they typically fall into two different camps. One is you're you're not honoring our consent choices, so we say reject all, but you're still tracking us. So that's
Yeah.
one. And then the other one is a privacy or wiretapping angle, which is you've got the LinkedIn tag on there, or you're recording our sessions through Hotjar or Clarity. And so we're seeing more of those recently. So this whole wiretapping privacy angle.
Wow.
And it's not that the law firms are really trying to get you to do anything other than pay them 5, 10, 15, $25,000 to settle that particular lawsuit.
But even if they settle with one company, some lawyer after you, and you get this demand letter, unless you fix the problem, you're still vulnerable. Isn't that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, you've been sued by one law firm, and there's, lots more who are waiting to do the
Yeah.
same thing to you. So hopefully you don't get that first one, but let that first one be a warning to you to, yeah, I better take advantage of this and fix it.
Yeah, I think in our internal discussions here, there's a sense of frustration, like, why aren't our people paying attention to this? It's a clear and present danger. And I know everybody's got a lot of priorities and a lot of things they have to be concerned about with their website, but oh my gosh, this is an expensive problem. And it's reasonably for a fairly couple $1,000 on a basic implementation and maybe a little bit more, a fifth or a sixth or seventh of the cost of settling a lawsuit, you could fix this problem.
Yeah, you're going to
Um,
spend less on fixing it than you will on the settlement.
Correct. Right. So that's why I think there's a sense of urgency here. And we wish we could shake people and say, pay attention to this. But just give us a week or two. We can get this fixed for you real quick. Or maybe not Northwoods, but somebody should do it. What are
Right.
people doing wrong when they're doing their implementation? So I know CMPs are all over the place and many people claim they can do it. Hey, I can download a plugin for free that just does all of the CMP stuff. Good, problem solved. $200.
Yeah, the consent management platforms, the CMPs, they make it seem like it's super easy, which sometimes it is, but it's not just a matter of putting up a banner and letting people accept or reject. You have to do something with that information. You have to stop the tags from firing. You have to stop the cookies from being placed. You have to make sure that those consent choices are actually being honored.
Yeah.
And just having the banner up does nothing. And we see this a lot. We see people who have got a banner up and that's as far as they've gone. So that's almost worse than not doing anything, I
It
think,
is. It's
because
like,
it's like, oh yeah, I began to do that. I'm compliant when in fact you're not.
you're not, right? The cookies are still getting through. And we have developed some tools over the last couple months that can detect whether the banner is working correctly or not. We're not the only tool out there. There's other places that can do audit, but we have found lots of little edge cases where it looks like your main cookies are being blocked, but like you mentioned, Hotjar, LinkedIn, HubSpot, you've got something else running occasionally on your website. Maybe it only fires when you click on a certain behavior. And all of a sudden that, not even an edge case, but just on the other end, a couple standard deviations out, is firing and sending cookies off that you're not aware of.
Right.
So a basic
Right.
quick check is not enough. And some of these online tools don't do a good enough job of finding the exceptions. And guess what? Somebody can make $25,000 on a demand letter. They're going to spend a little bit more time probing your site and finding these exceptions. And that's where you're going to get busted.
And the issue is that you're trying to stop marketing tags or analytics tags from firing. You
Yeah.
want those tags to honor the consent that the user has made. And normally you would think, in the ideal world, all those tags are in a tag manager like Google Tag Manager. So you think, oh,
Yeah.
I just have to deal with Google Tag Manager, make the changes there, and I'm set. But that's an ideal world. In the real world, those marketing tags can come from a separate plugin other than Google Tag Manager. They can come from being hard coded in the head of your website. They can come from an iframe, like from HubSpot or Pardot or JotForm or some other form tool you're using that puts the form up in an iframe on your website. They can even, in GA4, you can even have that GA4 measurement ID not only go to GA4, but also go to Google Ads. So there are lots of different ways that those smart marketing snippets can get added to your website. YouTube, for example, that's going to add stuff too.
Yeah.
So it's
All
a
tracking.
nuanced, difficult process to figure out where the heck are these tags coming from and how do I stop them?
And then, and all the core issue is that they're all tracking you. You have a
Right.
consent mode promise to your customers when you put that banner up there that says, hey, if you told us not to track you, we won't. Yet, in fact, you might have the best intentions. I was talking to a lovely website proprietor who said to me, well, I don't track anything. And I go, yeah, it's more than that. Do you have YouTube things on your website? Well, yes, I do. Well, I don't track them, but YouTube does. And I use a plugin for tracking my clicks. Well, I don't even ever look at it. And I'm never using that information. So therefore, I'm not liable. And I said, you are. And she took offense, but then we had dinner and went to bed. So, but the issue is that these things are coming from all over the place.
Yeah.
Talk to a little bit about consent mode V2. What is this real quickly? And what do we need to be concerned about it?
Consent mode V2 came out a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago at this point, and it's really required for Google Ads being placed in GDPR countries in Europe and other GDPR.
Who came up with this? Google came up with this?
It's a Google invention, let's say, or process. And basically it's a way to tell Google that when the website first came up, the settings were all set to denied. So ads were set to denied, analytics was set to denied. And it's just a way for Google to understand that you actually did something properly on the front end before you sent the ad off. So in Europe, if you don't have those signals set up correctly via consent mode V2, then your ads are not going to work well in Europe. You won't be able to build remarketing audiences. You will get with your conversions, with tracking your conversions. So it's very important, specifically in Europe. But if you're going to do it in one place, you might as well do it in every place. And consent mode V2 lets you take care of that signal to Google.
Okay. So that's something that when we do audits, we look to see if that is working. So give the anatomy of an audit. What are we doing when we do, or anybody does an audit on your website? What should they be doing?
So what you're doing is looking at what cookies get placed, what happens when you accept or reject, what happens in different localities. So it may be different in California versus Wisconsin, where we are, versus or whatever. So you want to look at that from the different locations.
So we have a way to look at it from California, from France.
We do. We're using VPNs. Also has a way that you can add on a query parameter that says, pretend I'm in California, pretend I'm in France. And so it'll act accordingly. But typically we're doing it through VPNs, at least internally.
So when you're doing an audit, somebody says, don't block my cookies. I respect my privacy. And what are the different types? We have marketing that could be set, tracking cookies. What are the other ones?
It's typically ads or marketing related. There's also functional and essential cookies.
Essential cookies are like session management, which cannot be blocked, right? Session management are allowed,
right,
in all localities. There's nobody that says you can block session.
Correct.
In fact, if you block an essential cookie, the website could stop functioning altogether.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are cookies that are necessary for that.
Yeah. But the marketing and the tracking ones are the ones that are being blocked, or people can request to be blocked. And then you have to figure out all the cookies, and just tell me if I'm getting this all right. You have to figure out where all the cookies are coming from on your website and all the little nicks and corners of your website. And then in every locality, depending upon what their rules are, whether you are compliant with what the user has requested you to block.
And Yeah, and the cookies are part of it. When we're doing an audit, what we're really looking at is the outbound network traffic. Where is traffic going to? Is it going to the Google syndication network? Is it going to LinkedIn? Is it going to Hotjar? Whatever. I mean, we really look at where that traffic is going, in addition to what cookies have been set. And one thing that a lot of people, like, if in the U.S. we are in opt-out state, which means, or not opt-out country, which means I can come to the website, and if I don't want to be tracked, I have to opt out. By
Yes.
that time, the cookies will probably be set. And if I opt out, those cookies won't disappear. You just won't track that person anymore. So it's not like when I opt out, the cookies disappear. The cookies have already been placed. Now,
Yes.
if you're in the GDPR, if you're in Europe, those cookies should not be placed because that's an opt-in.
You have to
choice.
consent to being tracked from the
You have
beginning.
to, you have to physically consent to being tracked. And then after that point, the cookies could be placed.
Yeah. So we've learned an awful lot. And I get the sense that we're continuing to evolve and learn that this is not a simple endeavor to figure all of this out.
Right.
Yeah. And curveballs coming in from all over the place. Tell us, just give an example of a curveball that we've had to deal with recently.
Well, the biggest curveball is just all the different places that the marketing snippets can come from, that those cookies can be placed from, that the outbound traffic can come from. You know, if you have an embedded youtube.com, you should be using youtube-nocookie.com. Then you don't get the cookies. So there are plenty of places where these marketing snippets or cookies can come from that you're just not aware of. And one final thing I want to say on the audit, Pat, it's really hard to do this all manually. So we've been working with a number of AI tools to build a CMP audit tool that really does a nice job of looking at all that outbound traffic, all that network traffic that I mentioned, looking at the cookies and seeing if we're in compliance or not. So
yeah. And I've seen that tool running it. It's a fairly large and complex system, not easily for the faint of heart. And actually, building the tool is one thing. Knowing what to build and how to build it and where to look and directing it, where to look for, that's the hard part. How long does an audit typically take?
the full audit is a point in time. You want to have documentation on that. You want to know what was working or not working at that point. And that's another super important point. This is not a set it and forget it. You have to keep looking monthly or quarterly at least to see, okay, has anything changed? Have any other marketing snippets been added somehow or other? Because that's one thing that happens all the time with our clients. All of a sudden, they've added something and they didn't realize the privacy implications of adding that.
Yeah. So it's just one thing, at least quarterly, you should be running an audit. So whether you do it with us or not, we provide audits, other people do too. It's certainly something, if you have the skills, you can do it yourself. But there's a fair amount of expertise involved. And I know I have learned a ton in the last year about all the things involved and all the things that can go wrong with this. And then again, starting out, we've seen demand letters picking up from people that we have talked to. And we wanted to say, hey, pay attention. This is important. I mean, before you get hit, it's way cheaper to fix it. It's like a hole in your roof, let's fix that leak before you have rot, in the ceiling and your tiles are collapsing on your bed. Not good.
There you go.
All right. So if people want to learn more about this, we have a blog, and I think in our show notes attached to this video, we'll have some links where you can go and find out more about reading about everything we talked about here today. And then there's also a link for you where you can sign up for an audit, and we'll include all those links in the show notes. So thanks for your time today, Fred.
Thanks, Pat. Great to talk to you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.